An unsolved murder from the 1970s becomes a college ghost story. This is the murder of Sigrid Stevenson. Let's step into the cold. Some unsolved cases catch the attention of the world. JonBenet Ramsey and Madeleine McCann, to name a couple. Then there are the ones that barely get a mention in the media, and they become little more than a footnote in history. The 4th of September 2017 marked the 40th anniversary of the murder of Sigrid Stevenson. Her name is unrecognisable to most, and to students at the College of New Jersey, where Sigrid's story takes place, what happened to Sigrid on the night of the 4th of September 1977 has become a ghost story. Scott Napolitano was once a student at that very college. He began his freshman year there in 2002 and recalled hearing about a murder that took place on campus in Kendall Hall and the ghost story that has become attached to it. But Scott noticed that something wasn't quite right with the story being told. He said, "The first time I heard about it was around Halloween my freshman year. You hear it 3 or 4 times and the stories don't match up." As a film student, Scott had the opportunity to work with a group on a senior thesis. The goal was to create a short film, and Scott knew he wanted to use Sigrid's murder as the basis for a fictionalized ghost story. Scott began to piece together a more accurate version of the unsolved murder. This is Sigrid's story. Sigrid M. Stevenson came into the world on the 24th of January, 1952. She was from Livermore in California, but spent time in New Jersey when her father became a professor at Princeton University. She had blue eyes and either blonde or brown hair. Sigrid was someone who was kind and completely comfortable being on her own. Friends would later say that she wasn't in a relationship. She could also be described as adventurous. The month before she died, she apparently hitchhiked all the way to Canada. By the time she was 25, Sigrid was a graduate student at Trenton State College, now known as the College of New Jersey. It came as no surprise to anyone when she chose to study music. Music was her biggest passion, and she excelled at playing the piano. In 1977, she rented a room for the summer from a professor at the college. In August of that year, she suddenly moved, having decided to live with a volunteer fireman for Ewing Township. But a couple of days before the semester started, Sigrid found herself with nowhere to live. Her host family had not yet returned from vacation. Sigrid decided to spend a couple of nights in one of the buildings on campus, Kendall Hall, until her host family came back. It was quite common for Sigrid to stay in buildings after hours. Her green bicycle outside the building would indicate her presence. This was the scene outside Kendall Hall on the 4th of September 1977. By now, the campus police were familiar with Sigrid, having come across her in buildings as they patrolled after dark. When campus police officer Thomas Coker-Tadgelow saw Sigrid's bicycle outside Kendall Hall, which had an auditorium and a basement, he decided to check on Sigrid. Although the hall had been locked since a local production of the play, J.B., had finished using the building earlier that day, the building did have a faulty door that could be opened easily if enough force was applied. Sigrid had watched the play the night before. Along with her bicycle outside, the presence of a piano in the building strongly suggested that Sigrid would be found inside. Officer Tajlo entered Kendall Hall as the midnight hour approached. The building was quiet. The first thing that Officer Tajlo noticed was a blood trail on the stage that led straight to the piano. Blood was splattered on some music sheets, and a pair of women's jeans lay nearby. Then the officer noticed a human-like shape that lay under a white piano dust cover. Underneath the dust cover lay Sigrid's body. She was nude and lying face down. There were binding marks on her wrists and cuts to her face and scalp. It would later be ruled that Sigrid's cause of death was a fractured skull and profuse bleeding, and that a blunt instrument had been used to kill her. Sigrid had no relatives living nearby who could identify her. Her family was in California at the time of her murder. Instead, a professor on campus who had known Sigrid well identified her. But because Sigrid had been beaten so badly, the only part of her that the professor was able to recognize was her hair. There was no sign of a robbery. Sigrid's wallet that held cash and traveller's checks was found nearby. There was no sign of sexual assault. Over 100 people were questioned, and some of these people took lie detector tests, including at least one campus police officer. A wooden prop for the piano was missing, and the piano wouldn't have played properly without it. Lake Seaver was searched in an attempt to find the murder weapon, and advice from psychologists at the University of Pennsylvania was sought. The police even used a psychic, Sidney Porcelain, who was from Princeton, and he was also questioned twice. Sidney enjoyed writing mystery novels and had even acted in a local production of J.B. Just like Sidney, the entire cast and crew of the play was questioned. No one has ever been declared a suspect. When the semester began just a couple of days after Sigrid was killed, college officials gave the 1,100 entering class members a sheet of paper called 10 Steps to Secure Living. Tips included locking your door even if you will be gone only for a few minutes, and locking your door when sleeping or taking a nap. An administrative bulletin that gave details about the murder was also handed out. Students were encouraged to walk around campus in pairs at night time. Then the coverage of Sigrid's murder began to grow smaller and smaller until her case disappeared into obscurity. Scott Napolitano would like to see the Vidocq Society, a group of former detectives who work on cold cases, take a look at Sigrid's case. But for now, until new evidence is uncovered or someone comes forward, Sigrid's murder remains unsolved. Her story will be used to scare freshmen on campus and to fuel the rumours of a curse surrounding the play J.B. J.B. is twice cursed on campus. In 1959, a busload of students was on its way back to campus after seeing J.B. on Broadway when the bus crashed, killing many. A memorial service was held on the main stage in Kendall Hall, where Sigrid's body was found days after a local production of JB took place in the same building. Halloween, of course, is a time for fun and spooky goings-on. A time where we can be scared while remaining safe. But as the time for Sigrid's ghostly story to be told once more approaches, so does another year without justice.